So the weekend has begun. That doesn't mean that we have to end things at all. So for today, we're going to be making three reviews for all of you. The first one is from All Japan Pro Wrestling with their much recent event from January on the 27th for the New Year Giant Series. This is day 4. This one features three title matches: the World Junior Heavyweight title, the World Tag Team titles, and of course the Triple Crown Championship. Then we move on with ChocoPro's recent and much newest event with number 355 featuring three matches, but amongst them is CDK's 100 match in ChocoPro, which is a huge accomplishment, but we'll see how they'll do. Then we move on with AEW Collision featuring a Eliminator match with Eddie Kingston against Brian Keith. We do have, of course, FTR and Daniel Garcia in a match against Christian and his cronies, and various other things that will be taking place as well. Then we move on with a very short news updates. We only have one different an announcement from a promotion from my father's native country in Costa Rica. The Costa Rican Embassy announced very familiarized talent from all over the world will be participating in their 10th anniversary. Then, of course, we have some developments. Amongst them, we have, of course, TKO decided to give someone more power than Triple H, and then, of course, Evolution Girls have given update on what's going on with their project, and we'll see how that goes from there. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews, not only with promotions here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world with pro wrestling. It's not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do the Nagi Sayaka Watch, news updates alert, and various other cool things on this channel as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button, and you'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool stuff on this channel as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, let's begin with our very first review, and this is from All Japan Pro Wrestling with their New Year Giant Series, day 4 that took place last month on January 27th. Now, I'm not sure if they're going to continue with more of the New Year Giant Series, but I hope this is the last. I haven't been keeping up with them that much, but yeah. So anyway, our opening match, we have tag team action. We have Ryo Inoue and Ren Ayabe. They take on Blackman Suri and Shuji Ishikawa. Now, for the record, I know that since this was announced that Shuji Ishikawa and Blackman Suri were leaving the promotion, I'm going to presume that this could be their last match in All Japan Pro Wrestling. More developments on Ishikawa that I will announce on the news update. So we'll see. But anyway, I have to say this was a pretty good match. Now keep in mind, Ren Ayabe has teamed up with Ishikawa recently. They even teamed up together at Real World Tag League. But it's interesting that he's getting to say goodbye to his friend, and I'm going to presume mentor, But nonetheless, it was a pretty good match. But unfortunately, this match ended in a time limit draw, passing 15 minutes. So it was no one's fault, but it is what it is. So that's how it goes. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting trios match. We have Naruki Doi, Hakuto Omori, and of course, Murder Grandpa Minoru Suzuki. They take on Hikaru Sato, Hideki Suzuki, and Suwama. Now, this is a very interesting match. Like again, last time we had the Suzuki's faced each other off. You can say this is like they're related, but they're not. But they do have similar styles. Um, Minoru Suzuki does have that strong style mentality. So does Hideki Suzuki. But nonetheless, but there was a moment where, of course, Suwama and Hideki Suzuki, they almost couldn't get along, but they were able to get the job done, all thanks to Suwama when he picked up a very impressive win when he applied an um, suplex on Omori, and that was pretty much it. What happened, but nonetheless, at the post match, I don't know what Hideki Suzuki was saying to Suwama, but it sounds like he's asking for a singles match again with him. Now, they can get along great, but sometimes maybe they just want to kick each other's butts just for the heck of it. Who knows? But nonetheless, that's how they rolled in their world. So, anyway, moving on. We have Rising Hayato and Kento Miyahara. They take on Seigo Tachibana and Kurishio Tokyo, Japan, or better known as Ikemenjiro. Now, once again, Ikemenjiro, with his usual shenanigans, he decides to run outside to greet the fans, but the ref wasn't having it. He's like, no, 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 we're not playing that game. So he tried to get him in the ring, but Kurishio's like, nope, I have to finish greeting the fans once the song is done. But there was no use. I mean, the ref should know, don't waste your time on him because that's exactly what he wants you to do. But anyway, but the match was pretty good. However, I wasn't too surprised how this was going to be because, um, to be honest with you, this had no significance by any chance of any storyline whatsoever. But nonetheless, it was Kento Miyahara who picked up the win when he applied a German suplex on Tachibana, and that's pretty much it how it rolls up. However, Tachibana is one half of the All Asian Tag Team Championships that belongs to All Japan. But I don't know if, of course, um, Miyahara will challenge for those belts. That's something I don't know. But we will see what happens. Now, our next match is a three current Blast Baseball death match. We have team number one, Raijin Yam, Yaga, Yaguchi, Great Kochika, and Asushi Onita. That's right, Asushi Onita. You may know him from Dark Side of the Ring. They take on Onro, Takumi Sakurai, and Mr. Pogo. Now, some people said this was the worst match because, yeah, I mean, I could agree with that. I mean, they use a lot of explosions and all this other stuff. But unfortunately, it was Onita who picked up the win when he pinned Onro, and it was over from there. I don't know what kind of match is it because I wasn't feeling anything. I mean, I've seen death matches like these, but not like. But I felt like this was the worst one. But yeah. So anyway, not going to talk more about that. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Next match, we have Hideki Okatani teaming up with none other than Konosuke Takeshita. Yes, guys, the same Konosuke Takeshita we know from AEW and DDT. They made their way to All Japan and they face off the Aoyogi brothers, little brother Asoshi and older brother Yuma. I have to say this was a pretty good match because the way I see it, it was Asushi Aoyogi. I wasn't understanding why was he facing against um, Takeshita. Now, Aoyagi is well recognized as a junior heavyweight competitor, but he's facing a much bigger dude. But man, but Asushi Aoyagi was impressive. He wasn't afraid what was going to happen, but he knew he was standing against a much stronger individual. But it was his older brother, Yuma, who actually picked up the win when he pinned Okatani, and that was it, pretty much it. Now, our next match, this is one of three championship matches. We have the All Japan World Junior Heavyweight Championship. Koji Iwamoto, who issued the challenge, taking on Dan Tamura. Now, after Tamura won this title, there were certain moments I have witnessed how Koji Iwamoto has been looking at this belt. I'm sure he's like saying, I want to challenge you for this belt. I'm sure that's what was going on in his head for since then they've been running in each other on matches prior before this one. But I have to say, Iwamoto, I don't know if he thought that maybe Dan Tamura was unworthy to be the junior heavyweight champion, but anyway, Tamura's shown how strong he is. He may not have to be a high flyer, but we have seen wrestlers who are in that junior heavyweight competitiveness, but they're not high flyers. They can actually do things in ground or powerhouse. And that's exactly what Tamura did. He actually put Iwamoto in a power bomb. 1, 2, 3. He retained the title. So, our next match, we have the All Japan World Tag Team title challengers, Yuma Anzai and Ruki Honda, taking on the Saito brothers, Jun and Ri. Now, Jun and Ri have been the most strong and dominating tag team in all Japan. No one has able to beat them so far. But however, this was a very good test for both sides. I was so sure that somehow this team will be the ones to dethrone them, but unfortunately it was Ri Saito who actually picked up the win when he lariat what's his name? Honda, and that was pretty much it. Now, as soon as the Saito brothers were celebrating, they were cut short with the arrival of the previous champions. We're talking about Yuma Aoyagi and, of course, um, Kento Miyahara. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what is it that they're doing. They want the challenge for the tag title. So I'm sure we will see that at some point. Now, our main event is the Triple Crown Championship. Shotaro Ashino is the challenger versus Katsuhiko Nakajima. Now, remember, if you guys know this or not, Ashino was last year's Carnival of Champion winner. That means he gets an opportunity of the Triple Crown title. However, due to the fact after that tournament, he got himself injured and was unable to compete for this title. But however, Shotaro Ashino, watching, knowing that his company was invaded by an outsider, he felt in disgust that that he feels he has to be the one to beat him and kick him out of All Japan Pro Wrestling forever. But of course, Nakajima is a very tough SOB. You know that he kicks hard. You know he's not going to give in, and that's exactly what he did. He applied a Fujiwara armbar, and that was it. Um, Ashino had no other choice but to tap. But as soon as the match was over, if you guys know this last time, it was Saito who pinned Nakajima. So now Saito showed up, and I'm going to presume that he issued the challenge for the belt, for the Triple Crown title, because many of the All Japan Pro Wrestling would love to see this title being removed out of Nakajima's hands. But we'll see what happens. I'm pretty sure that Nakajima accepted his offer. So we'll see what happens. But for right now, I think we're done with All Japan. Let's move on with ChocoPro. Okay, ChocoPro 355. Well, and as I met before, this is CDK's 100th match. Wow, can't believe they did 100 matches in ChocoPro, which is a great accomplishment. I'm trying to figure out how many matches has Best Bro done in ChocoPro, but we'll find out maybe hopefully one day. Now, as always, for our opening show, we do have Chiko Shikawa giving everybody the lowdown of what's going to happen on the show, and that's exactly what she did. Our first match, we have a very interesting tag match. We have Sawadi Kamen teaming up with Sayaka. They take on Sayaka Obihiro and Emi Sakura. Now, by my perspective, watching ChocoPro events, I would have thought that this match would have been gone into, of course, Obi and Sakura. But however, that wasn't the case. Now, Sayaka, as you all know, I'm a fan because she has grown so much. She throw in a little bit of the aggressiveness as she normally do, but teaming up with Sawadi, that was a different story. I wasn't too sure how this was gonna be, but as I said before, I would have assumed that this match would end with Obihiro and Misakura, but nope. It was in fact Sawadi Kamen who picked up the victory by first doing a bit of a suplex onto Obi and then doing a diving body splash onto her to give themselves a very good win. I was like, wow, not bad. Now, our next match, we have singles action. We have Nonoka Seto taking on Mei Shiruga. Now, I'm going to presume that Mei Shiruga trained Nonoka Seto herself. As you all know, it was Mei Shiruga who trained Nonoka's older sister, Mia Yatsuba. So I'm sure that this is one of those matches where Nonoka will show her how much she has learned and grown from day one. However, Mei Shiruga, as you know, she's a bit of a clever wrestler, as I normally would call her the little slide devil because she likes to do things differently. You don't know what she's going to do. She's a bit predictable. But, however, as always, Nonoka is a fighting spirit type, but it wasn't enough to stop Mei Shiruga when she applied her infamous submission move, and Nonoka had no other choice but to tap. Now, our next match, we have Manatatsu Nakamura from Gambari Pro. He teams up with one half of the Asian Dream Tag Team Champions, Balinaki. They take on CDK. So basically, that was a pretty interesting match. Now, Balinaki is no stranger to CDK. He has challenged them before, either individually as a singles competitor or tag team competitor. So basically, I'm pretty sure Nakamura has challenged them before in either singles or in tag team setting. However, they did it. But it was a very chaotic match because CDK kind of de- decided to cause all cause of mayhem. Emi Sakura, who was the ref, then grabbed Mei Sugar, who was doing the camera and doing the commentary. All kinds of hell. But, however, I would have assumed that Balanaki and Monotatsu Nakamura were going to walk out as the winners. But unfortunately, it was the clever double pinfall by both Masa and Chris that picked up the win. So they walked out as that. Now for our Jonkin tournament, I wasn't too sure how this was going to be, but I was surprised that Miya Yatsuba was involved in this one. Uh, I was like a bit surprised. She made it all the way to the finals, but the one person I did not expect that Miya was going to beat in the Jonkin tournament. This guy always wins, and he always figured out how to beat his opponents. It's Chris Brooks. Chris lost to Miya Yatsuba, and he was crying like a little girl, like he can't even believe it that he lost. But it is what it is. And I think that's pretty much it with ChocoPro. I did announce their upcoming event and got to move. Oh yeah, we do have their upcoming ChocoPro show coming up soon. So I think that's pretty much it for them. Right now, let's move on with our last review, which is AEW Collision. Okay, AEW Collision. It opened up with an eliminator match for the AEW Continental Crown Championship. Eddie Kingston actually faces off against the bounty hunter Brian Keith. I have to say this was a very impressive opener. Now, I am a fan of Brian Keith because I always talk about how unique wrestlers can be in the ring. So, I mean, I talk about that with Orange Cassidy. I talked about that with Danhausen and a few others. But I like how he's the bounty hunter who actually plays it out that very well. But what an amazing match. I have to say, it was really strong hitting. I'm not sure if this is one of Eddie Kingston's toughest challenges, but nonetheless, Brian Keith has always been impressive. But unfortunately, he got backfist by Eddie Kingston, losing the match. However, during the post match comments right in the ring, Tony Schiavone talked to Brian Keith and told him that as of today, he is now officially all elite. And I'm sure everybody is happy to hear that. I'm sure that everybody is so proud that we have the bounty hunter now. And I'm sure he's going to collect a lot of bounties. But however, the entire match was interrupted. Well, the entire party was interrupted by Bryan Danielson as Nigel McGuinness saying that he is nothing but a crybaby who wants the attention. So he got involved in this on despite Eddie Kingston, but Eddie knows too well that that's exactly what he's trying to get to his head. But however, Brian Keith needs to contempt with Hechicero from CMLL. But these guys are two of the best technical wrestlers. But what I liked about this match, Hechicero, he is not only an amazing technical wrestler, but an amazing technical wrestler that can escape certain submissions. Like, you wouldn't think he would figure you out, that he was going to escape it. That is really impressive on that part. You probably would say, could he escape the bell lock? I mean, yes, it would have been. But Hechicero really was impressive. But unfortunately, Bryan Danielson found an opening when they were doing like a roll up sunset flip, however it was, and then Bryan Danielson picked up the win by pinfall. But however, Hechicero did not appreciate that loss, attacked him. But Claudio Castagnoli showed up to help him, even though Hechicero took off. It's like, whatever. Now, Lexineer conducted an interview with FTR and Dino Garcia. Now, nobody knows what to call them now as a trios group, but however, they're liking this new chapter. Now, they may not be able to go, FTR may not be able to go for the AEW World Tag Team titles, but however, this means they could try for the trios titles, and they are willing to do it with Daniel Garcia. But however, right now in front of them, they need to focus against Christian Cage and of course his cronies as well. So we got that. And then our next match, we have Hook in a 2-on-1 situation. Hook faces against Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum in a handicap match. You would think that Hook, a badass that he is, he has nothing to worry about, but it took only a red rum on Turbo Floyd to put away and give himself a win. So I have to say, fantastic. Now, Tony Schiavone was in the ring, conducted an interview with Mark Briscoe. Now, as you all remember last week, Mark Briscoe stepped up the game to be with his brothers that are both FTR and Daniel Garcia. So he said that it's hard for people to try to take him out. Remember, House of Black tried to take him out, but he kept coming back. However, House of Black, in fact, overheard what they're saying, but they think that they can finally bury him once and for all. So we will see where that leads us from here on out with them. Now, our next match, we have Serena Deeb versus Queen Aminata. I have to say, this match was pretty good. Queen Aminata is a fantastic wrestler. I have seen her many times, but she's facing against someone with a very interesting, another technical wrestler. But it was a Serenity lock by Serena that picked up the win. Now, Tony Schiavone once again inside the ring. As you know, Swerve Strickland this coming Wednesday will be facing against Hangman Adam Page. However, he believes now that he feels that, okay, that he doesn't regret all the things that he did to Hangman, but he knows the kind of man he is. But there's one thing that etched him in this, that it crawls up his skin, is that Hangman does have a point. Tells him, you can't even beat me without your friends around. So basically, right now, Swerve got into that mentality that maybe Hangman's right. The reason he keeps coming back, maybe Hangman's right. He can't win without Nana and the Mogul Embassy. So he told them nobody should be involved. because he wants to prove it once and for all that he can beat him. He already beat him twice, but that was because of the assistance. So we'll see what happens on Wednesday. But as for Toni Storm, as you know, we have watched her. She's been paying close attention to her next challenger for the AEW Women's World title. She said that she has seen what she's capable of, but she wants to prove herself how technical she will be. This Wednesday, she will be in a match against Red Velvet. So hopefully, Deonna Purrazzo, she'll be watching this very closely. I'm sure Toni may not have the same kind of technical paralysis as Deonna, but we'll see. Now, our next match, we had Red Velvet. She faces Vert Vixen. Yeah, we've been seeing Red Velvet back and forth in AEW and Ring of Honor. I have to say this is a good thing for her because, as you know, she's preparing for hopefully the tournament for the ROH Women's World Television title, and that's something I think is a good match. But it was a impressive spinning roundhouse kick onto Vert Vixen to pick up the win. Now, our main event is Christian Cage, Nick Wayne, and Kill Switch versus FTR and Daniel Garcia. I have to say this match was incredibly good. However, if you look at it this way, there is some interesting moment between Nick Wayne and Daniel Garcia. If you guys don't know this, Christian Cage treats, of course, Nick Wayne as the son, like he thinks that his son will rise into the occasion, showing to prove himself, but yet he cannot beat another wrestler who's about young as him. Daniel Garcia, who doesn't take crap from anybody, he's gonna prove once and for all why he is who he is. And that's exactly what he did. But it was the jackknife that put Nick Wayne away. But however, FTR and Garcia may have won the match, but Garcia has his sights set on Christian and the TNT title. But the real question is, what does Christian Cage thinks? The real question is he going to get into his head, insult about his family and all that? Well, we'll see what happens because I hate to see Christian Cage loses his teeth thanks to them. And not to mention, Daniel Garcia does have backup. So people should say, sign me up, Christian Cage versus Daniel Garcia for the TNT title. So we'll see when that happens. I'm sure Tony Khan will sign on to it. But right now, I think we're done with AEW. Let's do our final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. Now, let's get started. Now, you may or may not have heard of this promotion. This promotion is based out of Costa Rica. Those who know this don't know this. I'm actually half Costa Rican. My father is from that particular country. My mom is just originally from across the border down from San Diego. I'm talking about Tijuana. Yes, there is a wrestling promotion down in Costa Rica, actually two of them. This is why the deleted wrestle zone exists, because you may not know if there's promotions in this country or that country. But I have been aware of Costa Rican Wrestling Embassy for a couple of years now. They actually were in league one time with the promotion CML, but they had many wrestlers that made appearances on their anniversary shows, like Zack Sabre Jr., Marty Skrull, who else? Tetsuya Naito. But this year they invited like about five wrestlers for their 10th anniversary show. We have Hechicero, who we just saw him in AEW Collision, Titan from CML and also a member of LIJ, Mustafa Ali, Rocky Romero, and Okamura. So I'm excited for that. I'm sure Mustafa Ali's presence is going to sell out. So we'll see what happens. Now, for developments going on in pro wrestling, apparently this was coming from a report from PW Insider. I know some of you don't think they're reliable, but I'm putting it out anyway. Now, you may have heard or not, and remember, The Rock is part of the board of directors. It seems the TKO are giving The Rock how to say, power in WWE, more power than Triple H in WWE. So basically, this could lead into a different story on that. Let me pull up what they said. This is what PW Insider said. This was a strategic move to give Johnson more political power overall and show Endeavor faith in his involvement and what Paul Levinsky, who has done admirable job as chief creative officer, would lose power struggle with Johnson at this point, as one source surmised. So what does this mean? So does this mean that The Rock is gonna have more power than Triple H? I mean, it would suck, but I'm sure many of you pick questions saying if he's not going to be fired because of the much recent development with his father-in-law Vince, why they're giving him a power? That's a good question. That's something I don't know, but it's rather interesting. Now moving on to our last development, as you guys remember, I mentioned the Yoshi project known as Evolution Girls has announced that Shuji Ishikawa will be serving as the general manager of the promotion, and his goal is to have 10 more wrestlers recruited by the end of this year. However, I did mention that Suwama has firsthand been participating in this show. He firsthand is behind the scenes as a producer. This is what they said. Sumama will continue to serve as producer for Evolution Girls alongside Ishikawa's new position. Ishikawa will wrestle for Evo Girls show moving forward. Yeah, so is booked for a wrestling match for the upcoming show. But also, they mentioned on February 18th, Sunny, who actually retired last year, stayed as a staff member, and now she'll be making her debut as a referee on February. So I'm looking forward to seeing Sunny. Hopefully, I get the chance to see it, but we'll see. So I think that's pretty much it for our news updates. Let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I haven't decided yet what's going to happen now. As we speak, we do have The Road to New Beginning by New Japan and Stardom's Supreme Fight. Now, I'm not sure if I'll be able to see Stardom show, but if I do, I will review that. And same thing with New Japan. And I did state it that I am behind on the remaining shows for Pro Wrestling Noah. We'll see how that goes. Also, we have the GCW shows that already. Well, one is already out. The Cold is Winter. Hopefully, I probably will do that one on Monday. Same thing with the other one, but we'll see what happens. But for now, this is the plan, and we'll just leave it as that. But for right now, I'll say this, and I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.